There once was a girl who thought she didn't need anyone. A girl who believed silence was her only friend. Her name was Mary Lennox, and the world around her was as empty as her heart. But stories have a way of finding light, even in the coldest corners. This is where hers begins. Mary lived in a grand house far away in India, walls tall and white, gardens full of flowers she never noticed. Her parents were always busy. Her mother, beautiful, admired, and distant. Her father, quiet, tired, and always working. Servants obeyed her every word, but no one ever hugged her. No one ever said her name with love. She grew spoiled, impatient, angry at everything, because no one ever showed her how to be kind. Then, one morning, the world changed. A strange hush filled the house. Servants whispered. Doors closed. Something unseen and terrible moved through the air. When Mary woke up, her nurse was gone. When she called, no one answered. Only silence. Heavy, endless silence. Days passed before a soldier found her, the only living soul in that great, silent house. He took her hand and whispered, "You'll be safe now, little miss." But Mary didn't answer. She didn't cry. She didn't even look back. Mary watched the ocean from the ship deck. Waves rose and fell, whispering things she didn't understand. Every mile carried her farther from the sun, closer to something gray and unknown. She thought, if no one wanted me there, why would anyone want me anywhere? But life has strange ways of answering questions, sometimes with doors we never knew existed. When the carriage stopped, Mary stepped into a world of wind and rain. The sky was pale. The earth smelled of moss. And there, rising like a sleeping giant, stood Miss Southwaite Manor. A woman named Mrs. Medlock greeted her, her voice strict, her step sharp. "You'll keep to yourself, miss," she said. "There are rooms you mustn't enter, and doors you mustn't touch." Mary followed her down endless halls, walls lined with portraits whose eyes seemed to follow her. Candles flickered. The air was cold. Once, she thought she heard a cry, faint, far away. But when she asked, Mrs. Medlock snapped, "There's no such thing. It's the wind, child." That night, in her, it was the first time she'd ever seen something that didn't belong to anyone. And for a moment, she wished she could belong to it. In the morning, a young maid named Martha brought her breakfast. She was cheerful, gentle, and spoke to Mary like she was just another person, not a little queen to be obeyed. Mary didn't know how to react. No one had ever talked to her that way before. When Martha told her about the moors, fields that stretched for miles, full of birds and wind, Mary listened quietly. But one story caught her breath. "There's a garden here, miss," Martha said, "a secret one. It's been locked for 10 years. No one knows where the door is." A secret garden, a locked door. For the first time, Mary felt something new, curiosity. Days passed, and Mary began exploring the gardens. At first, she walked stiffly, proud and lonely. But the wind softened her, and the smell of earth began to comfort her. One day, a robin appeared, red chest glowing in the sun, bright eyes watching her. It chirped, fluttered, then hopped away, as if asking her to follow. It led her to an old wall covered in ivy. Something inside that wall seemed to breathe. Mary knelt down to touch the earth, and felt metal beneath her fingers. She brushed away the dirt, and there it was. A small, rusty key. Her heart thumped hard. She held it tightly and whispered, "Could this be it?" The robin sang again, as if it knew the answer. That night, as rain tapped against the window, Mary lay awake with the key beside her pillow. She had no friends, no family, but now, she had a secret, and secrets have power. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll find the door." The morning came quietly, with golden light spilling through the heavy curtains. Mary woke up before the house did. For a moment, she forgot where she was until she saw the gray sky of Yorkshire stretching endlessly outside her window. Beside her pillow lay the little rusty key. It was cold and heavy in her hand, yet it felt alive, as if it carried whispers from another world. She held it up to the light and thought, could it truly belong to the garden no one speaks of? There was something inside her, something she'd never felt before, not anger, not loneliness. Something softer, something almost like hope. Mary slipped outside while the air still carried the chill of dawn. The moor stretched around her wild, endless, full of wind and mystery. She walked slowly, tracing her fingers across the ivy-covered walls. Each wall looked the same. Each vine whispered secrets the wind carried away. But she didn't give up. Hours passed. Her shoes gathered mud. Her cheeks turned pink from the cold. And then, as she turned a corner near the old orchard, she saw it. A robin sat upon a broken branch, chirping brightly as if waiting for her. Mary froze, then smiled a small, unsure smile. "You again," she whispered. The bird tilted its head, hopped twice, and flew toward the farthest wall, one smothered in thick green ivy. Mary followed, heart pounding. The robin fluttered down and pecked at a spot where the vines tangled thickest. She knelt down and brushed the ivy aside with trembling fingers. And there it was, a small, hidden keyhole. The metal was old and worn, but when she pressed the key in, it fit perfectly. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then click, the lock turned. Mary's heart leapt as the heavy door creaked open. Beyond the wall lay silence, not the cold kind she'd known all her life, but a deep, waiting silence. Vines hung like curtains, and the air smelled faintly of earth and forgotten flowers. Everything was tangled, wild, asleep yet beautiful in its ruin. Mary stepped inside, her shoes sinking into soft soil. It felt like walking into a dream. The trees were bare, but tiny green shoots peeked bravely through the ground. The sunlight filtered through branches, painting soft gold patterns on the broken paths. "This place is alive," she whispered. She touched a rosebush, brittle and gray, and a single leaf trembled beneath her fingers. For the first time, she felt something stir inside her, not sadness, not pride, but belonging. This was her secret now, a secret garden that needed her as much as she needed it. She spent hours inside, brushing leaves away, clearing small paths. The robin sang from above, cheerful and bright as if proud of her discovery. When she looked up at the sky, she realized how blue it was, not the dull, endless gray she used to hate. She took a deep breath and laughed softly, shyly. It was the first real laugh she'd ever made in her life. She whispered to the robin, "You'll keep my secret, won't you?" The little bird chirped and flew to another branch, its red chest glowing like a spark of life. The next morning, Mary went outside again, this time carrying a small trowel she found in the shed. She wanted to work in the garden, to bring it back to life. But as she walked along the path, she heard a strange sound, a whistle, clear and soft, like music made by the wind. She turned and saw a boy. hadn't opened in years. The crying grew clearer, sadder, real. Mary's hand trembled as she reached for a doorknob, but, just then, footsteps echoed behind her. Mrs. Medlock's voice cut through the darkness. "What are you doing here, child?" Mary froze. "I thought I heard someone crying." "There's no one crying," Mrs. Medlock snapped. "It's just the wind. Go back to bed." But as Mary walked away, she knew the truth. She had heard it, not the wind, not her imagination. Someone in that house was crying, and she would find out who. Back in her room, Mary sat by the window. The sky was pale, the stars faint behind the clouds. She held the little key again, tracing its cold edges with her fingers. The garden was waiting for her, growing, breathing, coming alive. And now, another secret waited inside the manor walls. For the first time, she didn't feel lonely, she felt curious. She looked out toward the moors and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll find the truth." The wind carried her words away, like a promise. The morning was quiet when Mary awoke. A faint sound drifted through the window. The robin song, bright and soft. She sat up slowly, eyes still, heavy with dreams. Beside her bed lay the small trowel she'd kept like a secret. The air felt different that day, lighter, almost calling her name. She slipped from bed, pulled on her boots, and walked through the dim corridors of Miss Southwaite Manor. Every shadow seemed to whisper, every door to hold a story. The sun had not yet risen fully, and pale light followed her like a guide through the long, cold halls. When she stepped outside, the world was quiet except for the robin song. The garden wall loomed tall and secret, but the ivy-covered door opened easily under her hand. Inside, the hidden garden was waking, mist on the grass, soft golden light breaking through leaves. The robin flew to a low stone wall, chirping as if welcoming her back. Mary knelt near a patch of earth she'd tended before. Her fingers brushed aside damp leaves, revealing tiny green shoots reaching for sunlight. They were alive, fragile, but brave, and so was she. Every day, she had come to this place. Every day, it had answered her with new life. She smiled faintly, feeling warmth rise in her chest. The garden wasn't dead at all. It was waiting to be found, waiting for someone to care enough to listen. "Grow," she whispered softly, as though her voice could be sunlight. The robin tilted its head, and she laughed quietly. For the first time in her life, she felt her heart stretch open, curious and full of light. A cheerful whistle floated from beyond the wall. She looked up. It was Dickon, walking down the moor path, his arms full of seeds and tools. His face was kind, his eyes bright with life. Mary waved, and he grinned as he stepped through the ivy gate. "The garden's lookin' alive," Dickon said, kneeling beside her. Together they planted seeds, working quietly, the robin fluttering between them. The soil was cool, the air warm with sunlight. For the first time, laughter came easily to Mary's lips. They sat on a stone bench, hands dirty, faces glowing. The garden shimmered in the evening light, gold and green, alive and breathing. "It's magic," Mary whispered. Dickon smiled. "It's life, that's what it is." The house seemed larger and emptier than before. The wind sighed across the moor, and somewhere in the dark, a sound stirred. Faint crying, soft but clear. Mary sat up, her heart quickening. She listened again. Somewhere deep inside the manor, a voice she had never heard before. Grabbing her candle, she stepped into the corridor. Shadows flickered across the walls as she moved, her breath trembling. The sound led her to a staircase she had never seen. She climbed, the flame shaking in her hand. At the top was a small wooden door. Her heart pounded as she reached for the brass knob, cold beneath her fingers. The door creaked open. Inside was a dimly lit room, filled with the faint scent of flowers long gone. In the bed lay a boy, pale and thin, with dark hair and frightened eyes. He turned toward her in surprise. "Who are you?" he whispered. "Mary Lennox," she replied, her voice calm and steady. "Who are you?" The boy blinked, his lips trembling. "I'm Colin Craven. I'm always ill." Mary stepped closer, studying his face. He looked so fragile, yet something in his eyes felt familiar, like the garden, closed and waiting. "You're not as ill as you think," she said softly. For a moment, silence filled the room, then Colin smiled, a small, trembling smile that made Mary's heart ache. It was as though the garden's first flower had bloomed again, quietly, in this hidden corner of the house. They talked for a while, voices low and careful. Mary told him of the garden, of the robin, the shoots, and the sunlight through the ivy. Colin listened, his eyes widening with wonder. When she rose to leave, Colin whispered, "Will you come again?" Mary nodded. "Yes," she said, "I will." And for the first time, he seemed to believe that the world might hold more than pain. Mary walked back through the quiet corridors, candlelight flickering along the walls. The wind outside was gentler now, the manor somehow less lonely. At her window, dawn was breaking. The robin perched on the sill, chirping softly. Mary smiled, feeling the warmth of morning on her face. "There's more than one door to open," she whispered. Her voice was soft but sure, a promise to herself, and to the boy behind that secret door. The moor stretched beneath the golden sunrise, full of light and promise. The robin took flight, wings glowing in the morning sun, and Mary watched until it disappeared beyond the trees. The world had changed, not suddenly, but quietly, the way a seed becomes a flower. The secret garden was no longer just a place. It was a beginning. Mary turned from the window and smiled. Somewhere deep inside the manor, another heart had begun to wake. And so the garden's magic spread, unseen, unstoppable, like sunlight beneath the door. The morning came softly, wrapped in the hush of spring. A pale gold light spilled across the moor, glimmering on the dew. The house still slept, but the air outside already whispered of new beginnings. Mary woke before the others, her heart full of quiet energy, as if the world itself had been waiting for her to open her eyes. She rose and stepped to the window. The horizon stretched wide and endless, no longer gray but tender green and gold. Something inside her stirred an ache of wonder and belonging she couldn't name. She slipped into her shawl and shoes and slipped through the corridors, careful not to wake a soul. The garden door waited beneath the ivy, the key cold and familiar in her palm. When she turned it, the sound of the lock was like a heartbeat. The gate opened, and morning light rushed in. The garden was alive again, each leaf trembling with life, each breath scented with damp earth and promise. Mary stood still, her eyes wide. She had imagined it would wake slowly, timidly, but it had burst into bloom overnight, wild and joyful. Bluebells bowed in clusters, soft roses opened like sighs. She knelt, fingers brushing the new grass, and felt the pulse of the earth beneath her hand. She smiled, small at first, then brighter. It felt as if she herself were blooming, her heart unfolding with the flowers. For a long moment, she only listened to the hum of bees, the robin's song, the soft murmur of wind through vines. The garden was speaking, and for the first time, she understood. Dickon's footsteps soon joined hers, light and cheerful. He carried a basket of tools, and a little fox padded at his heels. "It's happenin', Miss Mary," he said, eyes shining. "The garden's wakin' proper now." Mary nodded, her voice caught somewhere between awe and laughter. Together they worked, quiet and steady, side by side. Hours passed in gentle rhythm, the scrape of trowels, the rustle of leaves, the scent of fresh soil. The sunlight deepened, turning golden and soft. Mary's thoughts drifted to the strange crying she had once heard in the night. The sound had haunted her, fragile and human, echoing through the manor's halls. She looked up. "Dickon," she said softly, "do you think people can fade away if no one cares for them?" He paused, wiping his hands on his coat. He said. "But they come back when someone loves 'em enough. Same as flowers. his simple words rooted deep in her heart, quiet and sure. That evening, the thought would not leave her. When darkness fell and the house grew silent, she lit a candle and stepped into the corridor. Shadows stretched long across the walls, and every creak of the floor felt like a whisper. She followed the memory of that sound, the cry that had once broken her sleep. Behind one of the tall, closed doors, she found it again, a faint, trembling sob. Her hand shook as she turned the handle. Inside, pale moonlight touched a face she had never seen. A boy, thin and sickly, lay among heavy pillows, eyes gray and filled with fear. He looked at her as though she were a ghost. "Who are you?" he whispered. "I'm Mary," she said softly. "And I heard you crying." His expression faltered surprise, confusion, then the smallest flicker of hope. "They said no one hears me," he murmured. "I did," she said, "and I won't forget." For the first time, the boy smiled, shy and trembling. "I'm Colin," he said. Mary told him about the garden, the hidden door, the robin, the flowers rising from sleep. His eyes widened like a child's before Christmas. "A garden," he breathed. "Father said it was dead." "It's not," Mary said. "It's waiting for you." The next morning dawned bright and gentle, the kind of morning that feels like forgiveness. Mary and Dickon met at the ivy wall, hearts beating with secret excitement. Together they brought Colin, wrapped in a blanket, out into the open air. It was the first time in years he had felt the wind against his skin. He gasped softly, eyes wide as if seeing the world for the first time. The robin fluttered ahead of them, its red chest glowing in the sun, leading the way. Mary placed the key into the door, the same small key that had once changed her life. The lock turned, and the gate swung open with a sigh. Light poured through the opening, spilling gold across Colin's face. He took one shaky step, then another. His thin hands reached for the air as though trying to hold the sunlight itself. When he entered the garden, his breath caught. The colors, the scents, the living hush, it was a world reborn. Dickon smiled quietly, letting the boy take it in. The fox darted between the flowers, the robin sang above. "It's beautiful," Colin whispered. "It's ours," Mary said, her voice trembling. For the first time, he laughed clear and bright, like music that had been waiting years to be played. Days turned into weeks, and the garden became their heart. Colin grew stronger, his steps steadier, his laughter freer. Mary watched him stand tall beneath the old tree, sunlight crowning his hair. He no longer looked like a ghost of sorrow, but like someone who had finally remembered how to live. They planted together seeds and dreams both. Dickon taught them the secrets of soil and sky. Every flower they tended seemed to mirror their own change. The once lonely manor now rang with voices, the echo of joy bouncing through halls that had long forgotten laughter. Then one evening, as the day faded into amber, a figure appeared at the garden gate. It was Mr. Craven, weary and uncertain, drawn by a sound he could not name, the robin's call, the children's laughter, or perhaps something deeper. He hesitated, then stepped inside. Before him stood Colin, strong and alive, sunlight spilling across his smiling face. "Father," the boy said softly, running forward. Mr. Craven's knees gave way. Tears filled his eyes. "My son," he whispered, voice breaking. "I thought I had lost you." Mary stood nearby, silent and glowing with quiet pride. Mr. Craven looked around in awe, the garden blooming, the air thick with life. "How did this happen?" he asked. Mary met his gaze and said simply, "Love made it grow." He understood then, not just the garden's secret, but his own heart's awakening. The sun slipped behind the hills, setting the sky aflame. The three of them stood together, bound by something deeper than words. The robin sang one last time, its song carrying across the moor like a prayer. The garden shimmered in the fading light, alive with promise. Mary felt the soft soil beneath her hands and the warmth of belonging around her. She had found her home not in walls or rooms, but in hearts that had learned to open. The wind brushed her hair as if in blessing. Somewhere deep inside, she knew this was not an ending, but a beginning. And as twilight wrapped the garden in gold, the world seemed to breathe again quiet, whole, and forever blooming.